Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm joined by a very special guest on the show. It's Nurbeats. Nur, how are you doing today?
Not bad. Thank you for having me and inviting me on the show straight after a great week.
Let's get into that. So 7-0. I know that's like the magic number all week that Liverpool fans will be talking. Have you been shameless like myself in regards to that victory, or have you been a bit more humble and just say, it's just part of the game?
No. It's not. There's no humble right now, especially against Man United fans.
No.
all week I've been getting in the number 7 somehow in every conversation I have with them.
Of course, I've had my 7-up on screen. I've been saying the date is the 7th and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, you got to do what you can, isn't it? And I'm going to continue as well. So, so if there's any 7s in this show, like you know why, basically. So let's get into the match preview. So the last time we faced Bournemouth is actually one of our high scoring results as well. It's 9-0. Are you expecting to see that kind of same result, or do you think, despite Bournemouth being bottom place, they have actually improved in their performance, especially last week, as they were very close to getting something from Arsenal? Do you think it'll be a similar encounter, or do you expect a better performance from Bournemouth in this fixture?
Yeah, I think they'll be performing a lot better because that motivation from getting beat so badly at Anfield and the 9-0 humiliation will serve as a reference point probably like the whole week. And us beating United 7-0 then reinforces that, like, hey, listen, we cannot definitely be embarrassed by Liverpool again. So their defensive game will definitely be going up. They'll try, and I think they'll try their utmost to stifle us, but they still might have that fear. Listen, we can't open up too much and attack Liverpool and try and get like a goal or anything, but they'll just try and do minimize as much damage as possible.
Yeah, because the way they had their tactics against Arsenal, they were flying in the first second of the game. That they scored a goal in, I think, that opening 10 seconds. So I'm not expecting to see them going at us like that in that kind of fashion, but it remains to be seen in that regards. But I think the top 4 race, I think it's safe to say we are in the race now. But I was looking at the fixtures for April, and it's not very kind for us, unfortunately. So I'll just read out some of the fixtures. In fact, let me see if I can show you the fixtures, so it'll be a bit more easier to talk about. So let me do this with you guys. So yeah, here you go. Here's the Liverpool fixtures that we've got coming up. So the Fulham game has been postponed, so that will probably take place, I would say. They'll probably try and fit in. Hopefully, they don't fit in April because that'd be ridiculous. But the first one, Man City versus Liverpool. Obviously, we had a great victory against Man City early in the season. Chelsea away on the 4th. Arsenal at home on the 9th. Leeds United, we lost to them as well. So we need to try and get some points back on that track on the 17th. 22nd, again, losing against Nottingham Forest. Embarrassing for us. West Ham away and Liverpool at home on the 30th. What are you making of these fixtures? It's a tough one to say the least, but where do you see us getting the points?
Yeah, no, that's a bit of a tough run-in, especially after the Bournemouth game. It'll be Real Madrid, City. Is it Real Madrid, City, Chelsea?
Yeah, so City will be 1st of April away fixture, and Chelsea at home literally 3 days later.
Evening. So that's that'll be 3 away games, 3 big away games: Real Madrid, Chelsea.
Yeah.
And no, actually 2 big away, but Bournemouth, then Real Madrid, then so 3 away games in a row. It's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be an easy run, to be honest. But the good thing is we've built a bit of confidence in the last five games in the Premier League. We've built like a solid foundation to build upon. Clean sheets. So we can take a bit of confidence into that, and the pressure will be more on Man City in that game because they're going to do their utmost to try and stay with Arsenal, and so we might be able to take advantage of that because they need the result, they need the win, and I think we could survive with a point there.
What about the Chelsea one? I think Chelsea one is up for grabs. I know it's an away fixture, but Chelsea have been. I thought we were doing awful. Chelsea are doing worse than us. So
Yeah,
they got their first win last week against Leeds United, but still not convinced about Chelsea. How do you see them as an opposition?
yeah, Chelsea a bit weird. They've got the personnel, no doubt. They've got the personnel.
Yeah,
They can, because they've got so much talent in the team. They can hurt you at any given moment.
true.
However, they're not like a conducive
Mm,
team at the moment.
yeah,
They're not free flowing, and they haven't built an understanding yet. So we might be able to take advantage of that away at
okay.
Chelsea, and they can't score, so that's a good thing. They can't score as much as the talent that's showing on their roster.
Yeah,
But then the
no,
big game will be Arsenal, Liverpool at Anfield. All the pressure will be on Arsenal.
yeah.
I think Arteta might have to bring out the speakers again.
For the training one, I think they might have to. That's the one I'm looking forward to. I know Arsenal on the rise right now, but normally we've got a good record against them at Anfield, so I'm hoping that follows suit. Just kind of like similar to the United game at Anfield, they hadn't beaten us, I think, until I think the last was 2007 that they beat us. And that
Yeah.
was a matter winner as well. So yeah, I'm hoping the same for this fixture as well.
Yeah, big. Usually we beat Arsenal. They've improved massively this season, but usually we beat Arsenal with a big scoreline at Anfield.
Yeah,
However, I don't think it's going to go that way this year. But still, we still got that psychological advantage over Arsenal. The pressure again will be on them because they're going for the title, and we've been through it the last few years. Every game is like a final, and so the psychological
yeah,
toll it might take on those players
yeah.
might be to our advantage.
Yeah, let's hope. Fingers crossed that is the case. Leeds United and Nottingham Forest, obviously on paper, even West Ham, we should be winning. But this season has told us it's been such a crazy season. Like we've been, I think against the bigger teams, we've been a bit more up for it. But against the lower teams, kind of like the tale of Liverpool of like back in the day as well. Like we used to always struggle against the smaller teams, but this year we're losing in like shocking fashion. So
Yeah, especially away. Our
yeah,
away record has been so poor this year. Like our home record is like still within the top four.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
the away record, however, isn't, and is like I've been arguing and discussing with other people, like what is the why is the drop off happened this year?
Yeah,
And there's a couple of theories. People are saying like some psychological fatigue because of the concentration that it requires to go all out for 4 trophies and not to drop any of your standards and go for all 4 trophies, and then not win 2 of the major ones
yeah.
might have had like a negative impact psychologically. So but they've come through it a little bit now. Hopefully the new players with new fresh blood and new fresh impetus could help us. Gakpo, Nunez, Carvalho came in. He hasn't seen much of the play since after the World Cup, but yeah, we've got some new fresh blood that might try and bring some new impetus into the team.
What do you make of the impact of Gakpo so far? Because I know of Liverpool fans, I think when he joined, it was a bit of a mixed reaction. Some people were like, "Why do we spend money on a left winger or attacker where we should have invested in a center midfielder?" We all know we need a center midfielder, but I feel like that's something we'll be focusing on more in the summer. But how have you made him play in a more central role? Because it's not a role that he played a lot with at PSV, but he did play for Holland, I think, more centrally. What do you make of his transitional period right now?
Yeah, like as you said, when we first signed him, a lot of shock from Liverpool fans. Everyone was crying out from for a midfielder or two, and we signed another attacker, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" But I think that Liverpool do play the long game and the patient game, so
Yes.
they have their targets, and if they can't get them in January or whatever, they're happy to wait to try and get the right player. And so Gakpo was one of the guys that they did want in the summer, I think. But however, United's interest kind of pushed it to go for him in the winter. And I know Pep Linders gets a lot of stick, especially after his book release. Uh,
We lacked authenticity after that book release, to be fair.
exactly, like it didn't fall kindly for him because he said
No.
our identity is intensity, and then the midfield intensity just completely dropped off. So, but yeah, he got stick unfairly, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because he's one of these new school coaches, right? That tries to
Yeah.
integrate and tries to evolve the game more than just being like sticking to old principles or old philosophies. So
Yeah.
he tries and tinkers with different players, and he envisions them in like an attacking player. Can he play in midfield? And
Yeah.
Klopp and him especially, they like to work around players that are very versatile, that can play
Yeah.
multiple positions. So, in my opinion, I think they're gonna the future, especially if Liverpool had like a bucket load of money, I think it would have accelerated the process. But I think they're going for the like no a positionless team, especially in the attacking third, where players can actually rotate
Yeah.
and pick up positions different to and confuse their opponent. So a striker can go left wing can go central and be
Yeah.
comfortable in those positions and perform adequately and give us like this total Johan Cruyff philosophy of total football, total domination. Every player can play in different position, which is a Dutch philosophy, and Pep Linders is Dutch, I believe.
Yes, he is. So no, that's a fair point because a lot of the players, especially up front line, they are interchangeable. Probably Salah is not the one where, but I feel like he does kind of swap with the main striker, so he goes a bit more infield, and the other, and so let's say Nunez is leading the line, he would drift to the right as well. So for me, that's exciting times in terms of how we've recruited these players. I know a lot of fans were, we live in this era where it's short-term memory. Everyone wants instant success, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. Like we've basically recruited Gakpo to be for me, the long-term replacement for Firmino, but at the same time can play in the wider roles, which Firmino, for me, didn't really have the speed or the capability to do. So no, I'm excited to see the front line. I know fans are quite impatient, but I think the 7-0 showed you the skills of Gakpo, especially his finishing ability, which a lot of people questioned. And then even Nunez as well, scoring a couple headers. So, you
Yeah,
know,
man. We
onwards and
live
up.
we live in a world where instant we need like a instant everything is given to us quickly now. Like
Yeah.
so if we're hungry, we can order something that comes to our door very quickly. If
It's
we
true.
if we need something, you can all go on Amazon and boom, it's
Yeah.
delivered the next day.
Yeah.
So this impulsive, like if you go on TikTok, you can just skip videos by just flicking. So this
Yeah.
impulsiveness, like kind of like comes out of us in all spheres, and then can influence us in
Yeah.
becoming a bit petulant sometimes, and throwing our toys at the pram if things are not done very quickly.
No, it's true. It's true. You got to be level headed, especially I've been a Liverpool fan. I think you've got to be a bit more level headed and think of the longer picture because when Klopp came in as well, everything didn't happen instantly. It did take a bit of time. And I'm expecting it to be the same in this summer as well. In terms of the fixtures here, the one that for me is a bit of a sticky one is the Liverpool and Tottenham one because Tottenham were the team last year that dropped points, where we dropped points as well. That could, in hindsight, if we'd won that game, maybe we would have been having a different conversation right now. But it's at Anfield, so I'm a bit more positive in that fixture. How do you feel about that one?
Yeah, Tottenham's a bit weird. Like they're happy to soak up pressure,
Yeah,
and then hit us on the counter, where they got Man City actually quite frequently recently. They've got a good record against them.
yeah, they do.
However, like they're kind of imploding at the moment. There's coaches fighting their own players like unhappy about their situation.
Yeah,
So hopefully by the time we get there, Luis Diaz is back, who scored in that game actually,
yeah,
and
it's true.
yeah, I think I'm confident for the rest. I'm just looking at Man City and Chelsea, to be honest. The rest I'm very very confident about.
Yeah, I did. I think Klopp did mention that Diaz has an outside chance of returning for the Man City game. I'm a little bit concerned for us to rush him, if I'm being honest with you, because it's what we did with him after the World Cup, as in that period where I think they went to Dubai and they had a training camp there. And I think he picked up another injury. So as long as he's fully fit, I don't want to rush him because we've got players that are in rich vein of form. So he's not desperately needed. Obviously, it would be amazing to have him back in the squad, but I feel like let's be a bit more patient with him. Like if he's fully fit and he's ready, let's put him on. But if not, I don't want more injuries to Diaz because we've had Jota as well in and out of the team. Jota for me, like crazy stat that he hasn't scored in like 11 months, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was since last April, so it could turn up to be a year. That's not a good stat, to be honest, but
no, it's not.
The good thing about him, he's always involved and he's not someone that allows the outside noise to affect his game. Yeah. He's just like he doesn't care. He just plays the game and enjoys the game, enjoys himself. So you'll see that he's likely to miss from 3 yards, as well as dribble past about 3 players and score. So he's that type of player, and he wouldn't care either way. I remember against Wolves a couple of years ago, where he had that 1-on-1 with the keeper, and then he just, instead of tapping it in or placing it somewhere, he just decided to blast it on what's his name, Connor Cody,
yeah,
on the line. I was like, oh, come on, Joe, you didn't need to hit it that hard.
I had to go for that spectacular finish. It wasn't needed at that time.
Yeah.
He is one of those players where he's a bit of a live wire sometimes in front of goals. So when he smashes them, they look spectacular. But when he misses them, it's like,
exactly.
A bit of composure is needed, isn't it? So speaking about the team, let's do our lineup. So this is what we believe will be the lineup for this week. So I think it goes without saying that Alisson is the goalkeeper, you'd say?
100%, yeah. Ali has to go in.
No one else should be there. So left back, would you play Tsimikas as a sort of rotation for thinking of the Real Madrid game, or would you start with Robert because he was fantastic against Manchester United?
Thinking about, you said it, you hit the nail on the head there. Thinking about Real Madrid, plus thinking that Bournemouth might play like a really low block, and Tsimikas is a little bit more composed on the ball in those situations, I think I'll give it to Tsimikas, because Robertson thrives on space in behind and stuff like that. However, Tsimikas, I think, can easily keep possession a lot more better than Robbo.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I would have gone for Tsimikas as well. I think he offers variation in his passing as well, where sometimes against sort of lower block teams, it can be quite useful. So I definitely put him there. Right back, Trent. I don't see anyone else challenging for that spot because Gomez, I believe, is still unavailable, so he's not ready to play in that position. And Ramsey's
he's gone, yeah.
He's gone as well. So the less said, the better. I don't want Milner in right back, so that's definitely not an option for me. Having a 37-year-old as a right back is a bit of an embarrassment, but it is what it is in that regards. Centre back pairing, who would you go for?
I'll keep the same pair. Virgil and Konate. We need them to start building a really good understanding with each other, and I think we've won every game that they've played 90 minutes together. So,
yeah, we missed Konate, I think, the last few weeks. I'm really pleased that he came back for that United game because that is the players like, you know what? If we're going to keep players like Rashford quiet, I think he was the one to do it. So, yeah, I'm glad he's back in the team.
100.
And midfield, who would you go for the defensive mid? Would you keep Fabinho? Would you rotate the squad?
I'll keep Fabinho, and I'll have because he's going through like a bit of a resurgence at the moment. He's playing well, and I think he's one of those players that need the game time to keep his confidence up and keep his form up as well. So I'll definitely play Fabinho.
Cool. Who would you go for the left side of midfield? I think Thiago's still injured, but there is no sort of clarity in terms of when he'll return. I think it's another hip injury. So this is an injury, I think it's a recurring one that he has. So I'm not sure in terms of the timescale. So you've got Bajcetic, who's doing really well since he's come in. Henderson played on the left side against United. So who would you go for in that slot?
Yeah, this is a bit of a tough one now, but it depends. I'll go for Bajcetic,
Yeah.
only because I think he's a little bit more composed than Henderson. And against Bournemouth, who's probably going to play a low block, we need players that just comfortable in keeping the ball and sustaining pressure as much as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Bashir has saved us a good few million quid, if I'm being honest with you, because he looks like a good player. I wouldn't say he's like best player or like starting 11 week in, week out, but he's probably saved us like 30, 40 million.
That's I've been telling people. I said, like, everyone would be saying we need like 3 midfielders. I said probably we need 2 now, because Stefan coming in has definitely showed like saved us a lot of money, number one, and also has given a pathway to those in reserve, those kids that are still in reserve, that if you guys are serious, you can take like a step forward and claim a spot like he did. He didn't care who was in front of him. You're not in good form. He started. He took his chance. If he played horrible in his in the chance in the opportunity he's given, he would have been just like forgotten about.
Yeah, it's true. There's been a lot of reserve players back in the day that were good 1 or 2 games and they've gone missing afterwards. So he's kept his ground. He's doing well. One question, slightly off topic. So I've seen your content where you've mentioned about Morton. Do you see him having a future at Liverpool next season? Do you see him part of that new midfield that we'll have next year?
I think he'll be given pre-season and the beginning of the season to see if he's capable of staking a claim, showing what he's all about in training, and maybe he'll be given like the end parts of a match to see if he's capable. Has he matured mentally to survive in a team like Liverpool? But I think he's got all the skill sets to be like a good backup centre mid at Liverpool. He can start like that and learn off people like Thiago. If we do get Bellingham, Henderson, Milner, hopefully he goes into the coaching role and learn from people like that. And hopefully, I'm a big fan of Morton. So Morton, I think he should be given an opportunity, but sometimes you never know, like especially how the young mind would react to the pressures of playing in a high-profile team like Liverpool.
Speaking of young minds, what do you make of Curtis Jones? Do you think he'll be a player that stays at the club, or do you think we'll be sending him out loan or selling him in the summer?
For me, he needs a loan. He needs like a good, a team that he can play in quite regularly to find himself. Because right now, I don't think he knows, or I don't think the Liverpool team know what kind of midfielder he is. He hasn't established himself or produced a run of games where you can say, okay, he's this type of midfielder.
Yeah,
he's got attributes to be a ball carrying midfielder. However, sometimes his decision making, from my point of view, I see his decision making is the biggest thing that lets him down. He'll go for glory more than just the simple pass or the most obvious pass. And so he needs a run of games to try and develop that part of his game and show that, listen, there's a difference between youth football and professional, high level football. Professional high level football is not, you're not playing for yourself anymore, you're playing for the team, and he needs to start learning how to do that.
Yeah, for me, Jones is a bit of a mixed one. I said it when the season started that I think this is his make or break season, because if he doesn't have an impact this year, I can see him, being sent out loan or maybe even sold. But he was given a contract extension, wasn't he, a few months ago? So I kind of feel like he might be kept on simply for the homegrown quota. If I'm being honest with you, that's not how it should be. I can see him staying for one more year, and I can kind of see Morton be loaned out for another year, because I think when it'll come to not this summer, next summer, I believe Morton will be over 21, so he'll be eligible to be a homegrown player with minus the sort of under 21 category that you have. So,
Mm.
but that's me being a bit more forward thinking. But I feel like Curtis Jones, in terms of his capability, you're right. He's because I know for the under 21s and the under 19 and stuff, he was more of a left-sided player or could play as a number 10, was a goal-scoring player. I think he's been kind of molded into being a deep playmaker or like a player that is more about regaining the ball, kind of like what Genie did. But obviously, he doesn't have the attributes to be like Genie. So,
Yeah, like the thing is with young players that they need to understand is if they want to make it in a high level or an elite team, they have to get rid of that ego. Like at youth level, you kind of destroy like you was the main man, but here then you're becoming like look, you have to go away from uh like an individual style of performance to more what the team needs. You need to start to fulfill your role, play a role within the team, and then you can use some of your attributes to enhance your game after a while. But he needs to learn that, and I think it was the Porto game. Was it last year when we beat him 5-2 or something at their ground?
yeah,
And he gave this beautiful assist to Mo Salah, and I was like, if he can do this type of assist, drive the ball, and then pop it off at the right time, then he can be a very big asset for Liverpool. But a lot of the time when I see him, especially at the back end of last season, when I was like, he gets himself in such really good positions. Even this season, I think it was Leeds when we was drawing 1-1, and he had the opportunity to pass it into, I can't remember who it was, but he had an opportunity to pass it into one of our attackers, and instead took a shot or mishit shot, and the opportunity was gone. So I said decision making for him, he needs to learn. It's not all about him anymore. It's all about now, fulfilling your role within the team.
no, that's very well said. A good point you made there about him being a bit not that sort of like cocky, arrogant, but in his youth days. I remember seeing a clip where he kind of told Harvey Elliott to be quiet as well in a polite manner. So yeah, he has that arrogance about him. But like you said, when you come to the first team, if you can't show it on the pitch, you can't really walk around with that arrogance. So yeah, it's a big season for him, I think, for the remaining months. But if he's there next year, he still has to make a stake of a claim, in my opinion. So speaking of Harvey Elliott, do you see Harvey Elliott starting in this game? Because for me, he did really well against United.
Yeah, I've been impressed in the last 2 games for Harvey. He's been out of the team for a bit, watching Bajcetic, growing and taking that position, and he was left out for a bit, mainly because of his off the ball, contribution to the team. A lot of people's like, this guy, he can't cut in midfield. He hasn't got the physical attributes to be a midfielder. However, he's shown if you're intelligent enough, like we've seen with like the Bernardo Silvas, the
Odegaard.
the other guards, that you can survive in there without being overly physical. However, you got to be smart with your counter pressing, with your pressing. You can't just be like all over the gaff. If you remember the United game, the one of the opportunities United had was that Rashford, that over the ball, that what's his name, Shaw did for Rashford. And that came about with Harvey Elliott vacating his position and going after Casemiro, who was basically a non-threat. And then the ball was given to Luke Shaw. And so those type of the things where Klopp even alluded to, that he needs to learn positionally where you need to stay when you're in protection mode compared to when you need where you can roam free when we do have the ball. And slowly he's learning that. He's slowly starting to become a really good counter presser where he's reading the game a lot better. He's anticipating stuff like for our second goal against United. You saw him. He took a glance at where Casemiro was and cut out the ball. Luke Shaw tried to give in to him. He read that, picked it up, and then boom, we scored our second goal.
Yeah, I think that'll come with time and experience. I think because he's so young, he's just sort of like very energetic, and he just wants to show off or try and do as much as he can to please the crowd and please the manager as well. But I think because he's realizing that his place in the team is at stake, he's learning that, you know what, I need to improve in these areas to make sure that I'm getting more minutes. Because for me, since he's come to Liverpool, he has improved. and that's what you want to see in a young player. You want to see them progress. So yeah, I think it goes without saying, I think he deserves to start in this one. So let's put him in the squad.
Also, I wanted to ask you a question
Oh, go for it.
with regards to, like, we talked, we touched upon, this thirst to have, like, everything at the tip of your fingers.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about, like, people not giving these young players time to develop and learn and make those mistakes and grow from those mistakes?
You've hit the nail on the head. It's that kind of that short-term memory where people want instant success. I think also what football fans tend to do is they look at other clubs, and if they've got younger players that are flourishing right now, they're like, oh, why can't our player do it? So, for example, Harvey Elliott is the similar age of like Phil Foden, for example. They're like, why isn't he doing like they're similar type of players in terms of left-footed and stylistically, but you have to be patient as well. You can't just expect wonders. We're not playing FIFA. We just play the game, and it's not that kind of day. So you have to really be patient with these young players, let them grow. Obviously, in the past with Liverpool, we've been blessed with players that have come through, like Trent. For me, he's a generational talent. Not everyone is going to be a generational talent coming through the ranks. So young players need time. They need patience. You got to let them grow as well. We're linked with Jude Bellingham. Like, if he joins the club, I promise you, he will make mistakes because he's young. He's still learning the game. So just because he's got a price tag, there will be pressure on him as well. So I think excluding price tag and stuff, you just have to look at the player. If he's 18, 19, expect him to make mistakes. Every player goes through it. Even the great Gerrard and all of our legends we've had in the past, they've all made mistakes as well. So you know what? The best advice I'd give to youngsters is don't be on social media, because the amount of rubbish that you see as well, you don't want it to affect your morale, because you know what you need to do to improve as a player, and listen to your coaches and listen to your family and friends that actually care about you. So living at
Yeah.
a busy age.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you said it. Like, if I had a son
Yeah.
or like a relative that was playing football at this moment in time, I'll just tell them, listen, if you make a social media, like with an alias name,
Yeah.
and make sure all the stuff that you follow is nothing to do with football.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, keep away from football. That way, then you won't see any of this toxic stuff, because
Yeah.
the football is a psychological game as much as it is a physical game. So
It is. I'm 100%. No, I think that's great advice, because unfortunately, because you hear a lot of players say, oh, yeah, we have a little peek through on our social media feeds. Everyone does it. Everyone checks their feed here and there. So you can't miss the comments here and there. And obviously, we're content creators. So we see the amount of rubbish we see on Twitter and all these profiles where like one player has one bad game and it's like they want to even like Rashford, for example. I'm not sure if you saw. They took a picture of him outside with his sports car and they're like, oh, he's out shopping, like he should be at home, like mourning for his like defeat or something. Like, it's just ridiculous things like that. So it comes from the media as well, unfortunately, because you'll have a lot of fans that they read these articles and they're like, yeah, like Rashford should be writing 5-page letters about why they should have done better and just nonsense like that. So
going straight to the training pitch and
yeah. Don't leave the training pitch until you perform. It's just crazy. So obviously we're a bit older, so we've seen how teams evolve in like the previous years. But in this day and age, unfortunately, social media, it can be a good thing, but it can also be a very bad thing at the same time. So yeah, young, and obviously Liverpool's philosophy as well. We like to bring players, young players from the roots, and bring them up to the first team. We even sign players like Bajcetic. He's not from Liverpool, so obviously we try and sign the best talents across Europe. So fans should know this is our philosophy. So don't expect wonders straight away, because it's not how football works. It's not FIFA, like I mentioned earlier on. So
exactly.
So yeah, crazy generation we live in. But let's talk about the front three. So who would you start in the central position? Would you stick with Gakpo, or would you lead Nunes in the front?
I think for this I'm bringing back Jota, only because of his style of like play, which is very unpredictable.
Yes,
he can easily dribble past or just drive through about 3 players and score.
Yeah.
Or just pop up with a weird goal. Like Jota is capable of that, and he carried us. When Mane and Salah was
Yeah,
away in AFCON last year,
he did.
and he stepped up big time. So I think also to keep him in rhythm, we need to give
Yeah,
him some game time, and maybe take off Gakpo and bring back Gakpo for the Real Madrid game.
yeah, that's a fair point. I think, yeah, you're right. Because he was rested against United, I think it does make sense to start him because he needs that rhythm, but he also needs that goal for his confidence because I think he's trying really hard to get that goal.
Yeah.
He's maybe heard us talk about the 11 months thing as well. So,
Yeah.
he wants that goal to kind of break that deadlock because once he does, I think he will be more of a goal scoring threat. I can see him getting consecutive goals as well. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly. You
Bournemouth,
see that?
Bournemouth might be the game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In terms of the left, would you play Gakpo? Would you play Nunes? One player that I want to see on the pitch, but he's not going to get a chance, is Carvalho. What do you make of Carvalho's omission in recent squads?
See, yeah. So this is I've got two theories on
Okay.
why he's not seeing any game time at the moment. One is from a negative point of view, and one is from a positive point of view. The negative, let me just get the negative out of the way. He could be showing signs of frustration or dissent in his lack of playing time or what have you. And Klopp doesn't like that, so he's teaching him a lesson. Listen, you don't get on the pitch by complaining or showing like your bad side, but you get on by working hard. That's one theory because ultimately we don't know.
Yeah.
Another theory is he's a little bit lightweight, and they've put him on a bulking up program, and they want him to bulk up a little bit. So once, especially like I've had a background in strength and conditioning. So
Yeah.
once you're on a bulking program, they try to they'll try and limit you because it can increase injuries because your weight has suddenly changed. You are more thin, so they wait for your adaptation to take place fully before they try and unleash you into a game of football. So maybe they're thinking, listen, we're putting you on this bulking program, and once you're done, then and you've adjusted to this new weight or this new muscle we've tried to put on you, then we'll let you free. But I'm not sure. I don't know what's your theory behind why
I
he's
think
not seeing any time.
I think it's a bit of both to what you said, because I think he's come into a club and he's obviously him and Harvey Elliott knew each other from Fulham as well. So he's thinking, oh, Harvey's getting game time. Why am I not getting game time? So it might just be that mentality where he's expected to get games because he was a sort of like an emerging talent or one of the emerging talents in the country. So it could be an attitude thing. I'm not saying that he doesn't train hard or anything, but it's dealing with the frustration of not being able to play or even be on the subs bench sometimes. So it's a mentality thing as well. But at the same time, I think he does lack physicality when he plays. He's naturally a number 10, but I've seen him play for Fulham. He has played on the left-hand side. He's even played on the right-hand side occasionally. But obviously, the Championship is a different ball game to the Premier League. It's more intense. There's more sort of I think it's 100 miles per hour in comparison to Championship. So I'm hoping your theory is a bit of both, where he learns from this season and then takes it on next year. But I'm hoping he's not sent out loan. That's just my fear.
Yeah, anytime that you've seen him come on or start for us, he's always been a goal threat. That's one thing we have to give to him. He's always been in and out, in and around the box, and showed that he can score, like against Newcastle, like against he set up for Salah's goal against United when we lost 2-1. He's capable of being a threat in that box, in that area. He's calm and composed. However, as you said, it could be a bit of both. I don't know, like Klopp. I don't think he did the same thing to Robertson when Robertson first came, where he was like, "I'm not getting a chance. What do you want from me?" And Klopp said, "Listen, you fix your attitude. I've already told you what you need to do. Yeah, just go away and do it."
Yeah.
And so he learned quickly. So just hopefully that he could, if that's the case, if it's an attitude issue, hopefully he can learn very quickly.
Yeah.
And he should know that the best place to develop is probably at Liverpool with regards to your attitude towards
Yeah.
the game and the team and your professionalism. He's probably frustrated because he must have been, like as you said, like heralded as this wonder kid that's coming through, and so everybody's blown smoke up his backside for how long, and so to adjust to that, like it's just being benched now, it might be like a very difficult pill to swallow. So maybe he just needs time to adjust.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm hoping he gets a chance next year, but I feel like if the attitude aspect is something that Klopp cannot sort of change for him, unfortunately, it could be a thing where he goes out on loan. But the thing is, when he goes out on loan and doesn't do well, it will hamper his career as well. So, regardless of which club he plays for, this is the sort of natural progression where you have to learn to follow your coach's tactics or the way your coach is talking to you, because he can go to a big club in Spain or a big club in Italy. It's the same. It's the same thing. Might be worse in terms of how they train over there. So, if he wants to be a top player, he needs to embed that in his game and accept that, you know what, I might not play here and there, but I'm still young. I have long time to play, learn my game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It comes back full circle to what we started with, that impulsive nature of the younger generation now. So they want everything now, need to start now instead of thinking that long-term goal.
I think we sound like OGs, just like putting down the young G's down right now, but it is what it is in that regards. So who would you play on the left in this fixture?
I'll keep Nunes, man, because he's our biggest threat. Like he drives that back line back, and they're scared of his pace, power, and just his sheer determination to cause as much chaos as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with that one. I think that those 2 goals as well, because there was a period where he hasn't scored many goals as well. So I feel like those 2 goals that he scored against United will give him a lot of confidence as well. So he's showing more sort of, I'm liking the way he's showing a bit more composure in the final third. He was very erratic. I think his finishing can still improve in terms of one-on-one situations, but his decision making for me has improved in the last few months. So I think it's unbelievable. And then I think it goes without saying Salah on the right hand side. We haven't got no one to challenge him in that position, so we'll place him there. So we were talking about Jota earlier on. So Jota has been the talk of the town recently in terms of being linked with a move to Newcastle for 70 million. Now, do you think there's any truth to that rumor? And secondly, what do you think Liverpool should do if that offer was to be on the table?
It all depends for me what Jota's thinking. If Jota is, putting pressure on Liverpool to maybe get like a better deal, or he's putting pressure on Liverpool because he's not seeing much, or he's seeing that his game time might be limited in the future with the emergence of a Gakpo, then I can see where these rumors come from. However, would I be willing to let go of Jota? No, because there's no one like Jota in our squad. No. Who's like Jota? That's a guy that can come in and pretty much play on anywhere in the front line and still be quite comfortable doing that. Is pretty rare. And someone that's like, just doesn't have like an ego, doesn't have any baggage to bring, will be very difficult to replace. I see it as, I don't think there's anything within this rumor, but it's always, agents can be playing games here. It could be like, wanting better deals for their clients. And so they'll like, concoct a little story here just to test the water and see where Liverpool's at.
No, I agree with you. I don't see him leaving the club. I know Newcastle and they're on the sort of rise right now in terms of how they're playing. I just don't see him going to Newcastle. I don't think that would appeal to him. And also, I think if Jota was to leave, Liverpool would have tried their best to keep Firmino even further, because can you imagine us selling Jota and Firmino this summer? Like 2 players that were quite pivotal in our central areas. Firmino, the master of the false nine, in my opinion. And you've got Jota, who's, we all call him Jota the Shotter because he's always scoring goals in front of goals. So for me, it's like, it would be a silly mistake to do. However, if Liverpool were to sell him, £70 million is a good chunk of money. Now, for me, one area of the pitch that we haven't really looked at over the years is a backup for Salah, or someone that can play Salah's position comfortably. So, obviously, let's play fantasy football. So, if I could choose a player to come in, I'd go for someone like Moussa Diaby from Bayer Leverkusen. You can play on the right wing, left-footed as well, but can comfortably play on the left wing. And he has actually played as a number 10 for Bayer Leverkusen. So, can you imagine Diaby, Gakpo, Luis Diaz, Salah, and Nunez as our 5? Like that's dreamland stuff, I know. But that would be the only reason why I'd consider it. But I don't know. What do you make of that?
I definitely hear that. Like I'm not one of these sentimental guys where you have to try and just because a player has done so well for you, we've got to stick by him forever. There's always like better deals to be done. There's always
done that with Naby, unfortunately.
Yeah, Naby. Let's quickly segue into Naby. The problem with that we had with Naby is that we knew, look, very early in his career, maybe the first 2 to 3 years, right? We knew that this guy is injury prone. We should have got rid there.
Yeah, that's true.
And we didn't. And that's the issue. Like Klopp and him maybe tried to give it a go one more time. Let's give it one more time, and then we ended up in this situation. But exactly because of that situation, number one, Jota is probably injury prone. Not injury prone, but he's injured at least 3 months of every season. Ever since he's come, I'm telling you, I've seen a long layoff for one part of the season. And in his first season, in that time when we had all those centre back injuries, he was out for a long time, from January, I think it was.
Yeah, 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Then his second season was it last season? Was his second season? And there was a portion where he was out for a while as well. And then this season again, he was out for a while. It tends to be. Is there any FIFA tournaments going on around that time?
Do you know what I was gonna say? It's kind of like Neymar, isn't it? He's always injured around every March, so he might have some sort of
that's what I'm saying.
Some family gatherings. I don't know what's going on. So
exactly. So, but like I say that in just to say that we can always upgrade on any player. I'm not above player worshipping here. Like if there's an opportunity to get to sell Jota and improve the squad with a better player or a player with a better ceiling, I'm up for it. I'm definitely I'll listen to offers for that.
Yeah. At the minute, I think we're just talking through it. So obviously there's no sort of grounds to say, oh, he would leave or Moussa Diaby would come in as well. But if for me, that would be like the dream thing where getting a player that can play in different positions and then having, like we were speaking about earlier on, having 5 players that can literally interchange left, right, and center. So it will be more unpredictable than ever. So that's a bit of dreamland stuff there. Also, there was breaking news in terms of Mike Gordon returning to the club, or possibly returning to the club. I know Klopp mentioned it today. He didn't really speak about it in huge detail, but I think it's on the cards. Do you see that as good news or bad news for the club?
You can take it 2 ways. I know, the guys that are orientated with the negativity would say, "Oh, he's back because we couldn't sell Liverpool. No, there was no buyers for Liverpool, so that's why he's back. Back at his job. That embarrassing. Like, hey guys, I'm gone. It's my last day at work, and then you come back a few months later saying, hey, you know what, that job wasn't all that."
That's a good analogy. I like that.
And so you can take it that way, or they'll take it as, okay, listen, this guy was a huge part in, connecting the FSG network with those people in charge of the coaching, Jurgen Klopp and his team, and those that are part of the analytical department where they would scout players using the data that they do, and bringing all those teams together to create a system where we go for these underrated players and make them into superstars. My theory is probably a good thing. he's coming back. He's coming back maybe because um, Liverpool saw value in what he brought. It kind of looked like shambles from when he did depart till now. There was so much, leakages. There was Mike Gordon, not Mike Gordon. What's his name? The guy that just
Michael
announced that
Edwards?
he's leaving. Michael
Oh,
Edwards left,
yeah.
and then the guy that just
Julian
succeeded,
Ward.
Julian Ward.
Yeah.
He's leaving, and the guy, the head of data, he's leaving, and
Everyone's leaving. Apart from the
so
tea lady.
everyone's just kind of like followed his route, like, hey, we're all leaving. If you're leaving, we're all leaving. And so he's back. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he can, he's been there, done that, and I'm hoping with the ownership situation, I think the Liverpool's going to go down a path where they sell a minority stake with a view to for that conglomerate or the person in charge of to take over eventually, or make it like the way Chelsea have. Chelsea's got like, I think, like so many people involved in running Chelsea, and that guy Todd Bowley is just like the figurehead who's got a minority stake himself within Chelsea, where he'll just be taking charge of it and going from there. I think Chelsea's got like all of these the way they passed through the fit and proper test with the Premier League, as in regards to ownership. There's so much like rumors. There's a lot of Saudi involvement there, and Liverpool might go down that route anyway, where the people that purchase it eventually are going to be like a load of billionaires rather than just one.
Oh, I'm praying for those days, if I'm honest with you, because it would be nice to have actual money to spend rather than sell to buy. Well, we're not quite sell to buy now, but we have been in previous season.
You saw John Henry say, beg for the let's guys, Premier League, please, can we cut the spending?
Yeah, I know, it's shameless. It's shameless to say that. With this news of Mike Gordon returning, should they bring back the band and get Michael Edwards back as well, or has that ship sailed?
That's interesting. That's an interesting question. Michael Edwards, should he return? I don't know. I think we've outgrown Michael Edwards. Michael Edwards was probably like finding those those rough diamonds, and then polishing them, making them better to carry us to a certain level, right? But when you reach a certain level, I think then you need to have a little bit more about you, someone with like pedigree of bringing and negotiating really big talent might be required now. Someone like that's done it with experience, perhaps with a footballing heritage or background. I'm if I was like, this is my fantasy, like we played fantasy earlier, it was if Liverpool can somehow get into a bed with the Leipzig teams, where we do like a collaboration, or maybe like share some sort of an academy where we can farm off players from each other, will be fantastic. Because I know Brighton has done that with like another team. Their owner owns one Belgium team, and so he farmed in Mitoma into that team to see how he'll do, and then he graduated from that. He's like, all right, come, you can try out Brighton now. So I think a lot of teams are going down that route, and I think we'll be like lagging behind if we don't go down that route as well, where we can go for those young up emerging players, especially from the South American market. They can't come here straight away, but they can go probably Austria or Germany or whatever, France, Portugal, and then let them embed themselves there. If they make it through, all right, you can come through into Liverpool.
Maybe we should look into like a Dutch club, because obviously the way we're playing right now, it might actually suit us in that regards, where you send them to a Dutch club, learn the technical aspects of how they play their game, and they'll be ready-made for our team, So
100%.
Let's hope something like that goes in the future. Pray for those days. But we've got to keep positive. I see a lot of FSG in, FSG out debates. For me, let's just enjoy the season. Let's see how it goes, and then we can bash the owners at another time, you know.
Yeah, no, look, I say this shit. There's no point of, wasting energy on something that you can't change. I hate. I've like recently. This is a recent philosophy I've started to take in.
Yeah,
I don't stress about things I cannot control.
fact.
FSG I can't control in it, so
Yeah,
there's no point stressing about it. Liverpool playing shit I can't control,
no, we can
so I
talk
quickly
about it, but that's
I
it,
can
you
talk,
know.
yeah, could talk about a therapy. You know what? Like that's
Yeah,
why I
of
like
course.
to analyze the game like in a more of a holistic manner rather than just
Yeah,
focusing on result because that will kill you psychologically. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't want to go down that route. I want to just let's break it down. Why did we play rubbish? Why did we
yeah,
play good? That
yeah.
way, it's more like therapeutic.
I like that. That's that's the more balanced approach, I would say, because yeah, a lot of our fans, they're getting impatient. Like it's literally FSG in and out debates every week. Like I was telling towards the FSG out, but for me, it's just kind of like you said, we can't control anything. There's nothing we can do. Like in terms of their business model, I get it. Think of it as a business point of view. They're doing the right moves. So just because the noisy neighbors in Manchester are spending buckload of money, they've been doing all sort of dodgy stuff since 2009. Doesn't mean like we should adapt their ways as well. So look, if we recruit well this year in the summer, our fortunes can change, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. One thing is with the FSG in and out. I don't think I've seen anyone that's like so adamant they want FSG in. There's people that's just like the FSG out. They just want to like make sure all your content is FSG out.
Yeah.
You can tell like Liverpool last year. You saw the fans, especially at a home ground, always singing, "We ain't
Yeah.
got no money, but we still win the league."
Yeah.
Every fan knows the situation Liverpool are in. No one's happy about it, but you just accept it. All right, it
Yeah.
is what it is. I'm not gonna like throw my toys at the pram.
Yeah.
But I hope like we get like owners that are more willing to take those risks.
Yeah.
As Klopp even alluded to, sometimes he's like he gets frustrated. He wants to take a lot more risks, but you can't control it. You can't control it. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. And plus, we don't know the inside and outs in terms of how they operate. Like we can't really say, oh, Michael, because the thing is, a lot of rumors were like, oh, Michael Edwards and Klopp's relationship broke down, hence why he left. But honestly, do we know what really happened in terms of? We can always speculate, we can always have theories and stuff, but just gotta accept the fact he's not there. We moved on, and then we're trying to evolve. Trying to reinvent ourselves as a team. So
Exactly.
hopefully it happens in the near future, and hopefully it begins with this result. So,
Exactly.
score predictions. What scoreline are you going for?
The good thing is, it's an early kickoff,
Yeah,
so we can recover. If it's a bad result, we can recover from that. Like you've got, I know other people take it. I ruined my whole weekend, but I tend to say that it's worse if it comes at the end of the weekend because then it just kind of like it
yeah,
lingers, it festers until the next game. So
yeah.
I say I'm gonna go for a positive result here. I'll say we win 2-0.
2-0. Okay.
2-0. It's not going to be like a free flowing game like we saw
Yeah,
against United,
yeah,
but we'll see like a little bit more dominance. We're starting to get that defensive solidity back, and hopefully we see like us control the game from a defensive transition point of view a lot better in
yeah.
this game. And it's just all about taking our chances. If we get in, like we will get chances, but
Yeah.
taking those like the way we took them against United.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm going to go for a bit more of a bolder result. I think 3-0. Not that much different, but I think we'll start off. I can see us scoring first and scoring it quite quickly, like the opening 10 minutes. And it's kind of just control the game from there. But this, because it's an away fixture, I don't see us playing the way we play against United, for example. We're not going to play like that every game. So this is the one where we score, settle the team down, try to make sure that we're not getting any pressure onto us from Bournemouth because they are capable of, especially set pieces. We've been abysmal this year in set pieces. So, and that's been one of their key traits as well. So we have to make sure defensively we're compact. Midfield, because they're resurging right now. Fabinho, for me, looks better in terms of how he's performed recently. Bajtic with young energy there as well. You've got Elliot as well. I'm positive. Obviously, we're coming from cloud 7, as you say, but you got to remain positive. So it'll go to waste if we go to this fixture and lose. Can you imagine that? So
yeah. Hopefully, we score in the first 7 minutes.
Exactly. That would be the cherry on top. But
Yeah.
Nur, thank you so much for joining the show. Appreciate all your insightful information there. Let the people know where to follow you on social and how to get in touch with you in terms of your channel.
Yep, sure. Thanks for having me again. It was good. Good to share my thoughts with the upcoming game against Bournemouth. But yeah, you can find me at Nurbeats on Twitter and on YouTube. And I started to dabble a little bit on TikTok recently. And those are the 3 places you can find me at Nurbeats.
My pleasure. That's very good. Do you know what? I've done TikTok as well. You can get
Yeah.
some weird comments on there, man. So just
Yeah.
just take it on picture side is what I'll say in regards to TikTok. But as always, guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I have added Nurbeats' channel in the description, so please make sure you follow. Let's hope for a win tomorrow. Let's stay positive. As always, guys, take care, stay safe, and we hope to see you all very soon. Good evening.